In our ongoing series on fractions, today let us understand multiplication of fractions. We are aware that in mathematics, when we multiply any two numbers, the answer is called its product. When we talk about fractions, product of fractions is equal to product of numerators divided by the product of denominators. Here the word fraction can be used either for a proper fraction, an improper fraction, or even a mixed fraction. No matter what kind of fraction we have, the method of multiplication remains the same. That is, we find the product of the numerators and divide it by the product of its denominators. Example here can be fraction 5 by 7 multiplied with another fraction 3 by 4. So product of numerator would mean we have to multiply 5 into 3 and divide it by product of denominator, that is 7 into 4. So we get here 15 by 28. So 15 by 28 is the product when we multiply two fractions 5 by 7 and 3 by 4. Now let's imagine a case where we have one of these numbers as whole number. So let's take whole number 4, which is being multiplied with a fraction, that is 2 by 5. We must remember that it's possible to write any whole number into its fraction form by simply placing 1 as its denominator. So here 4 into 2 by 5 can also be written as 4 by 1 into 2 by 5. Once we have this, we can go ahead and multiply 4 into 2 to find the product of numerator and divide it with 1 into 5. So this gives us 8 by 5. So with this, we see that whenever we have a whole number, we have to simply place 1 and convert it into a fraction form. Similarly, if we have a mixed fraction, we need to convert it into its improper fraction form and then find the product of its numerator and its denominators. For that also, we take an example here. 1 by 5, which is a mixed fraction, multiplied with 2 by 3. So the first step here will be to convert the mixed fraction into its improper fraction form. So 1 by 5 gets converted to 6 by 5 and this gets multiplied with 2 by 3. So once we have this, we can find the product of numerator by 6 into 2 and divide it with product of denominators, that is 5 into 3. So the answer here is 12 by 15. So in these examples, we saw that whenever we have a whole number or a mixed fraction, we have to first convert that into a by b form. That is the form of fraction where a and b are whole numbers. So there is only one rule for multiplication involving fractions. That is, we need to have the numbers written in the form of a by b in order to find the product. As long as they are in the form of a by b, multiplication can be carried out seamlessly. Now let's move on and discuss the concept of using of. Of means multiplication in mathematics. Whenever we see this word of in a statement of the kind 3 by 5 of 45, here we have to simply replace of with the sign of multiplication. So we write it again by replacing 3 by 5, of gets replaced with the sign of multiplication and 45 is written as such. So here 5 crosses 45 and we get 9. So 3 nines gives us 27. Now let's take one more example here. 7 by 10 of 50. So again we can rewrite it as 7 by 10, of gets replaced with the sign of multiplication and we write 50. So here 0 in the denominator cancels 0 in the numerator and we get 7 fives are 35. So this was all about concept of. So up to now we have learned that whenever we have to find the product of two fractions, we have to simply find the product of their numerators and divide it by the product of their denominators. And in cases where we have whole number or mixed fractions, we first convert them into the fraction form, that is a by b form, and then carry out the multiplication. So now we will solve some questions related to multiplication of fractions. We will be taking all kinds of fractions, be it a proper fraction, improper fraction, or a mixed fraction. We will also take up whole numbers in these examples in order to have clarity on the subject. So question number 1 states that find the product of the following: 3 by 10 and 4 by 9. So the numbers are 3 by 10 and 4 by 9. Product means we have to place the sign of multiplication, and we know that in such cases we have to find the product of their numerators. So 3 into 4 and divide it with the product of their denominators. So that is 10 into 9. Now 3 by 4 divided by 10 into 9 gives us 12 by 90. Now 12 by 90 is the answer. However, it is always advisable in the case of fractions to convert them into their lowest form. That means that they cannot be divided further. So 12 by 90 can be divided further, and when we divide both numerator and denominator by 6, we get that in the form of 2 by 15. Now 2 by 15 cannot be divided further. So it is called its lowest form. So we write the answer in its lowest form. Let's move on to the part B. Part B says that 3 by 7 into 5. So we write 3 by 7 into 5. Now 5 is a whole number, and we can convert it into its fraction form by placing 1 as its denominator. So once we have this, we can find the product 3 into 5 and divide it by the product of denominators, that is 7 into 1. So this gives us 15 by 7. Now 15 by 7 cannot be divided further. So this is the answer. This is already in its lowest form. Question number 2. Simplify the following. So the first number 2 1 by 2 is the mixed fraction. So we know that whenever we have mixed fraction, we have to convert it into its improper fraction form to gain the form of a by b. So 2 1 by 2 gets converted to 5 by 2. Second number is 3. 3 is a whole number. So we write this also in the form of a by b by simply placing 1 as its denominator. The third and fourth number are already in the form of a by b. So we write them as such, that is 5 by 4 and 2 by 3. Now let's place the sign of multiplication and find the product of the numerators and denominators. Product of numerators here will be 5 into 3 into 5 into 2, and this will be divided by product of denominator, that is 2 into 1 into 4 into 3. This gives us 150 by 24. Now 150 by 24, as we can see, can be divided further. So we convert that into its lowest form. Here it will come out to be 25 by 4. So 25 by 4 is the product of all these numbers, which is given in the question 2. Now let's move on to question 3. That says that find the value of 7 by 15 of 30 meters. Now this is a question involving the word of. So whenever we have such questions, we talked about it, we can write 7 by 15 and replace the of with the sign of multiplication and write 30. Now when we get this, we can just cross 15 and 30. 15 2s is 30. So 7 into 2. This is 7 into 2, which is equal to 40. Since the question has 30 meters, we will write the answer also in meters. So this is the answer for this particular question. Now let's move on to a statement question which says that a fruit seller has 1 by 5 of oranges, 1 by 4 of apples, 1 by 7 of watermelons, and rest of the fruits are mixed ones. If the total fruits are 280 kg, So here the total is 280 kg. Find the quantity of oranges, apples, watermelons and rest of the fruits. So for oranges, we see that it's written 1 by 5 of the total. Means we can write 1 by 5 of total is 280. So 280. Now this can be rewritten as 1 by 5 of gets replaced with the sign of multiplication and then we write 280. So this brings us to the answer of 56 kgs. Now for the apples, we have 1 by 4 of 280. So 1 by 4 of 280 and this again can be rewritten as 1 by 4 multiplied by 280. This gives us 70 kgs. The third fruit, that is watermelon, is 1 by 7. So now we write watermelons. 1 by 7 of 280. Of gets replaced by sign of multiplication and we write 1 by 7 into 280. That brings us to the weight of 40 kgs here. Now we know the weight of oranges, apples and watermelons. That is 56, 70 and 40. And it says that rest of the fruits are mixed ones. Means if we subtract the sum of all these three, we can find the rest of the fruits since we know the total. The total is 280. So let's do 280 minus 56 for oranges, 70 for apples and 40 for watermelons. So we are subtracting the weight of all the three fruits to find the weight of remaining fruits. So that will be equal to 280 minus 166, which is equal to 114 kgs. So 114 kgs is the weight for rest of the fruits. So with this, we come to the end of this chapter where we learned how to multiply fractions. And there is only one method for multiplication of fractions, that is to find the product of the numerators of the fractions and divide it by the product of its denominators. And we also learned the concept of using OF. Now in the next chapter, we will meet up and we will discuss division of fractions and we will also take up order of operations.